Hey everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I thought I would talk about a subject that's sort of been on my mind a lot lately, and that is what makes art beautiful. So we're going to jump into sort of some thoughts on beauty and art and what is considered beautiful. Is it perfection that makes it beautiful? Technical skill, realism? What is it? Because if it was all those things, just the technical skill and realism and your proper proportions and proper shading and all those things, if that was the definition of beautiful art, then we have to ask ourselves, why does abstract art, messy art, scribble art, children's art, why is it that something can move us deeply that isn't considered perfect art? I think we've all at one point or another strived to reach what we perceive as perfection. But I also want constantly challenging myself personally is, where do I get this perceived perception of perfection? Did I create that in my head, or is that what's being sort of, I would say told to me, or what I'm seeing and hearing from others about what makes perfect art? As someone who shares my art regularly on, I would say on YouTube more than social media, but I'm dabbling back into social media. You do definitely open yourself up to critique, which takes a lot of getting used to. And I think for anyone doing art, if you're sharing your art with anyone, it takes a lot of getting used to opening yourself up to critique. And the thing about it is when you put your art out there, you are opening yourself up to critique. Whether you invite the critique or not, it's going to come. And I think you learn a couple of things about it. You learn that your perception of beautiful art is completely different than many other people out there and their perception of beautiful art. And just because someone doesn't appreciate what you're putting out there, or that your artwork doesn't resonate with them, doesn't mean that it's not going to resonate with other people. But let's talk a little bit more about what makes art beautiful. The thing about it is that perfection and beauty are not the same thing, because beauty lies within the imperfection. And I think one of the things I've said time and time again that comes up a lot for me is, what's this need for perfection all the time? It seems like we're taught to chase perfection, but flawlessness does not equal interesting art, really. It's the flawed art that, for me personally, stands out. Let's think about art throughout history. Art history has helped us define what beautiful art is, but it also, if we look back, helps us understand that the perception of beauty changes throughout time. If we look at any fashion magazine from now to like the past, we know that fashion and beauty standards have changed over the years. So it only makes sense that art is the same way. It has changed. When you go back to the Renaissance movement of art, it was all about perfection. It was all about definitely technical skill and rendering perfect artworks. You look at it wasn't just paintings, right? And it wasn't just drawing. It was also statues and just how we depict the human body. It was all about perfectionism. Faces were balanced, bodies were symmetrical, everything was basically perfect. But things sort of shifted with Impressionism, because Impressionism sort of through that perfection, Impressionism sort of pushed this ideal technical skill aside, and it was all about the brush strokes and colors and lighting and capturing a moment in time rather than capturing that perfect picture of a person or their face. And edges were soft. It wasn't technical skill as much as it was capturing a moment in time. Abstract expressionism kind of threw everything out of the water. I mean, you look at paintings that, you look at abstract expressionism and it's all about colors and movement and mark making. Abstract expressionism was all about emotion, putting it all out there. And some of those abstract expressions and paintings, you feel something, but you're not seeing a technically perfect drawing or technically perfect artwork. You're actually not seeing something that you can even recreate because it was created in a moment with all the different layers and all the different marks and all the different colors. But there's beauty in that. So there's beauty in all of the different, there's beauty throughout history in art. Instead of asking, is this good? Is this realistic? Is it impressive? Are my technical skills perfect? Is my drawing perfect? Ask yourself as an artist, how did you feel when you were painting or drawing that? Like, what emotions are coming out? How did it feel when you held your paintbrush or your pen? Those things are just as important, in my opinion. It's the doing, it's the creating, it's the making that ultimately will create something beautiful. If we get tied up during the making and creating process of holding everything really tight and creating something perfect, and it's in our head that we have to create something perfect, then we've sort of I'd say failed before we started, because we put all these preconceived notions and we're holding on to them very tight and creating art based on these perceived notions rather than creating art from within. And ultimately, you have to discover what kind of art it is that you want to create. And you have to put it out there without worry about what the critics, who are, people looking at your artwork, think about your artwork. I'm getting better and better at dealing with the criticism, or actually just reading the criticism and scrolling along. Because if you're brave enough to put your artwork out there, and if you put all your emotions onto the canvas, if you put all your emotions onto the paper, if you let it all out and put it all out there, then ultimately I think what's going to come out is a thing of beauty. It is part of you, and it's a thing of beauty. And instead of us getting tied up on perfection and what makes art good and are we good enough, I think we need to shift our focus in how am I feeling. Let's forget about perfection when it comes to creating art, and let's ask ourselves 4 questions. How did I feel making this? Does this feel authentic and true to me as I'm creating it? Did I enjoy making this? And would I still make this art if no one else saw it? It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have the perfect colors. You don't have to have the perfect lines. Nothing has to be perfect. You just need to show up for yourself. I think that's all I have for today. The sun is setting. I hope for anyone who's feeling a little down or critiqued about their artwork, that you know that your art matters. And if you enjoy putting your artwork out there, then continue on putting your artwork out there, because people need to see it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day and happy creating.